Hey everyone, it's Bees. Just want to show a run I did as a Resto Druid in Uldaman on the Dragonflight Alpha. These are the talents I picked. I also like to point out my Druid's only level 60, so he's missing some points. So if I had a few extra points, I can go down here and get Heart of the Wild. Um, if I had more points over here, I can pick up something like Convoke or something. Some things I like to point out: Tiger Dash does not work on the alpha. It even though I have the point and I have it on my bars, if you press it, it's just regular dash, which I learned the hard way in the dungeon. Another thing that doesn't work on the alpha is Star Surge says you have to be in Moonkin form, but when I go into Moonkin form, it still says I can't use it and I have to be in Moonkin form. So things need to be worked out. Um, the main things over here I picked up were this is basically they call the Swift Bend build. Um, Swift Bend no longer consumes a heal over time, and instead extends all of them by 10 seconds. And then every three casts of Swift Bend gives you Tree of Life, which is kind of what some people use on live now if you're dungeon healing. If I had a few more points, I can pick up Convoke or Tap of Swarm or Circle of Life. One thing I did learn was with this build, the only major cooldown I have is Trank, but didn't really need it. So, yeah, let's just go over to the video, the dungeon run. So, now, this Death Knight was just pulling like a madman. Um, oh yeah, I threw on the flask that says if you stand still, you start gaining intellect, and then when you move, you gain speed. Uh, don't know how good it is, but I was trying it out. Yeah, this Death Knight was just a madman pulling multiple groups together. Um, but from what I found, compared to I've healed this dungeon a couple times on a Resto Shaman, is I had such an easier time on my Druid healing than on my Shaman. Now, on the flip side, it was definitely easier on my Shaman to throw out some DPS, but that's really the trade off, I guess. Another thing I learned the hard way was the default uh, Blizzard frames only show three hots, which is kind of bad if you're a druid because with rejuvenation, regrowth, uh, Cenarian Ward, Life Bloom. That's already a lot. And the Cenarian Ward is the one I wish it would show all the time. It seems like the raid frames preferred to push that off. Didn't want to show that as one of the three. You can still do the strategy in live where if you put Cenarian Ward on them and it procs so it turns into a hot and you swift mend it right away, it extends it by 10 seconds and then you can extend it again right when swift mend comes off cooldown. But it's kind of hard to track that if your raid frames doesn't show Cenarian Ward. Also, I totally forgot that druids have a raid buff now. Was Mark of the Wild. I remember it after the fourth boss. Um, let's see. Mark of the Wild gives everyone some crit. I think it's 2 or 3% crit and a little bit of speed. But yeah, for the most part, it's still how you heal on live. Now, like I said, this Death Knight was pulling like a crazy person. I still don't really know the dungeon, so when you heal normally as a druid, you want to get rejuvenations rolling on everyone, and then wild growth and big damage is coming out. But I didn't know. I still don't know the dungeon too well, and our tank was pulling like a crazy man, so I didn't have much time to set up. So you do the best you can. Now, someone in our group dropped right before this boss. and we ended up pulling it was only 4 people, which this boss is actually quite scary. Now, if you don't, I kind of skipped over the first boss because it died so quick, but this boss is going to be up for a while. The idea of this boss is he summons ads, but you can kind of ignore them. Um, is it up now? He summons a quaking totem that just AoEs your raid hard. And then he does this big blue circle around him that also hits you, chunks you for, I don't know, 40% of your life. And he likes to do it during the quakings. So, problem is, everyone needs to stack up on the quaking totem. The melee's got to get on top of it. The tank has to be on top of it, the healing. And then he does the big blue circle, and everyone, all that melee, and maybe your range is standing in there for AoE healing, have to quickly run out, and it's really hard to. But when you kill the quaking totem, it stuns the boss and all the ads, and they take 200% more damage. So I think the idea of this boss is to ignore the ads, kill that quaking totem, everyone gets stunned, and you blast them. This is the moment when I realized that I didn't have like Convoke or Flourish to help heal out, but never really was a problem. I don't think I even cast Trank once in the dungeon, mostly because I forgot what keybinder was on. I also want to point out that for the most part, Resto Druids don't have anything new from live. They have a lot of stuff that they couldn't have at the same time at live that you could have now, like you could have Adaptive Swarm and Convoke the Spirit at the same time, or you can have Circle of Healing, or not Circle of Healing, Circle of Life and Death, which is a legendary ability, plus the other legendary ability that extends all the hots on Swiftmen. So there's not much new to it. It's just you can play with parts that you couldn't do before on live. But there is one new spell at the bottom of the class tree that name is escaping me at the moment, but it says it has a minute and a half cooldown, and it says all your single target healing also damages a nearby enemy for 30 seconds, which is a pretty long time, really. Um, so you can just, during a big AoE, I guess you can pop that to pump some, quote unquote, big damage into the bosses. Now, if you haven't seen this boss, the idea of it is first off, he just throws a big dot on someone. You can see it here on the hunter, which I'm just healing him because he's low, but not realizing he has the dot on him. So maybe I should give him a little bit more attention. But players get these swirlies around them, these circles that drop swirlies, and then you want to drag the boss through all 3 swirlies. The third one will stun him. If you don't, the boss gets enraged and does more damage. Other than that, the boss every once in a while knocks everyone back and does some damage. You just got to make sure you yourself don't get knocked into those swirlies that turn into orbs. Or it stuns you and now you don't have one for the boss to run through. Death Knight's a crazy man. These these trash packs can actually do a lot of damage. Um, Little guys do a move called Hail of Stone that just AoEs everyone. And then sometime, I think it's in the next pull, they get paired up with a big statue guy who he himself. No, it's not this pull yet. Oh no, it is this guy. The statue guy makes you drop puddles underneath you, and then he does a big AOE that chunks you. And here I am just standing in the zone he leaves under me. I wish Tiger Dash worked because when I have no idea how this Death Knight tank seemed to be so quick. After he must have been uh, running to the next pool when it was when the one before was still up. But yeah, I've done some healing on Alpha, on a Resto Shaman, and a Resto Druid now. And the Resto Druid is definitely way easier to heal. Alright, this boss. Phase 1, he just puts a red circle around someone every once in a while. Just run away from your friends so you don't hit them. And then the statues around the side of the room throw these red balls all around. Just dodge them. But then at 66 and 33%, he runs to the middle of the room and just starts doing a big AoE. You have to run around and kill the statues so the boss stops doing it. Also, there's just a giant FU laser cutting through the room at the same time. Just don't get hit by that, it hurts. This was way easier to heal on my Druid compared to my Resto Shaman because, Druids, other than, say, um, Wild Growth and Regrowth, everything is instant cast. Uh, our one lizard friend stood in the big FU laser. Um, I didn't. I had to click my rebirth button. I couldn't find a good keybind for it on Alpha. Our Death Knight was a bro and dropped anti magic shell, which I stood in. Or not? Yeah, is it anti magic shell? No, it's anti magic zone. Shell's the one around the green one around them. Once again, if you knew big damage was coming, you would have Redruve rolling on everyone, then Wild Growth, but I wasn't ready. Tank being a madman. At some point coming up soon, I remember. I think it was after the spoiler alerts, the Twilight. What are they called? Infinite Dragons come in. This I checked what this debuff this hunter had, and I realized he was using the new veil that gives you I think a crap ton of main stat but it says once you have taken 100% of your health as damage, like it remembers. So if you have 100k health and over time you slowly take 100k damage, you lose the big buff, and then you just get a debuff that says you slowly take 100% of your life over 30 seconds or something. So it will slowly kill you if you don't get a heal. And then after that 30 seconds, you get the big main stat buff again. So that's gonna be fun for all the healers out there that their DPS are just like, hey, yo, I'm gonna throw on this fail that makes me awesome until I take 100% of my life as damage, which there's sometimes unavoidable AOE, as you can see in this dungeon, and then it just goes away and it's like, hey, yo, I'm slowly dying, you gotta heal me, bro. Funny enough, while we were stunned in the RP, he had the debuff on him and I couldn't heal him. This is about the point I remembered. Oh yeah, I have a raid buff. But then I learned something. Oh, I clicked it. Once we leave this combat, I want to point out something to Blizzard. Okay, it takes up a hot slot. So now I can only see 2 of my hots. This is something that never happened before on live because we didn't have a raid buff. But now Market of the Wild takes up one of the 3 hot slots. I guess it goes away in oh, I didn't realize that. It goes away when we're in combat, but that's so weird that, like, if hots are ticking outside of combat, I can only see 2 of them. They just need to let us see more hots. Or put them in 2 rows. Do something, Blizzard. When you have a class that can throw out, like, 5 hots and you can only see 3 of them, just give us some control of which ones we can see, or just let them see them all. And, you're doing this big UI revamp. Last boss time. If you don't know what this boss does, these orbs fall from the sky and leave like patches of sand that not only hurt you but lower your haste. Also, he throws a debuff out on people that says it's a magic debuff that after a certain amount of time you just drop it or it can be dispelled early. Other than that, he just knocks everyone back every once in a while, does the frontal on the tank. But once the boss reaches 50%, what he does is he rewinds time, which puts out does massive AoE to the raid. But now if you stand in the puddles that are shrinking, the haste buff is in reverse because time's flowing backwards. So you get a massive haste buff instead of getting a massive haste debuff. So in that phase, everyone just stands in the sand and just pumps. And that's the end. Thanks for watching, everyone. See you next time.